What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1, and we continue our 2025 predictions here with the Oklahoma Sooners, a team that I've really started believing in a little bit more as we've gone through this offseason. The more you look at this roster and what they have added, this is a team that was not in my spring top 25. I'll go ahead and tell you right now, they will be in my preseason top 25. I don't know exactly where, but when I evaluate this roster, I actually think this could be a top 10 roster this year. This is going to be a good football team. Now, the schedule is really tough, and that could be what, kind of holds them back. I believe John Mateer is going to step in here and do really well at quarterback. I know coming from Washington State, you think maybe that doesn't translate to the SEC, but I think he's going to do just fine. And, the coaching staff, the offense that's going to be coming with him, I think that's going to work out really well. And this team was so beat up last year at wide receiver and on the offensive line. If they can stay healthy in those two areas with the running back room that they have now with Jaden Ott coming over, this offense is going to be night and day different from what we saw last year. So I think they've got that covered. The defense is absolutely loaded, especially in the front seven. Secondary, especially that cornerback position, maybe some question marks there. But otherwise, yeah, this team's loaded, and I think people are really overlooking this Oklahoma team. I believe they are a legitimate playoff contender. Now, again, the schedule might keep them from getting there, but I think there is a path for this Oklahoma team to actually make it into the playoff this year. And who knows, maybe if they go like 9-3, the schedule is good enough to get them in, and we'll see how it plays out. But 10-2 seems to be that number. You really want to try to get to 10-2 to feel good about your chances at the college football playoff. And I think 10-2 is possible. We'll go through the predictions here. But first, let's look at where I predicted this team the last 3 years, and take a look at just where Oklahoma has been the last 3 years. And you see it's been up and down. 2022, 6-6, then up to 10-2 in 23, and then down to 6-6 last year. That would say, if that pattern continues, this could be a 10-2 type year for this Oklahoma team. Just looking at my predictions, I was a little off in 22, had them at 3 games above where they actually finished. But the last 2 years, pretty accurate. Last year I had them had 1 too many wins, and then in 23 had 1 too many losses. But overall, again, the last 2 years I've been pretty accurate with Oklahoma. Just missed the mark there in 2022. So here's the schedule. Again, I've already kind of given you my thoughts on this Oklahoma team. They obviously roll here in this opener against Illinois State. So a 1-0 record with Michigan coming to town next September 6th. Should be a great game. I do believe these are two top 15 teams, at least roster-wise. I think Michigan's going to be pretty good. I think their defense will be solid. I think their run game should be good. Now we'll see Bryce Underwood and these receivers, can they put it together this early in the season? I think that's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough for him to go on the road, second game as a college starting quarterback, going into Norman, Oklahoma. I think that's going to be tough for Bryce Underwood. And again, these receivers, I think they might improve this year some, but I don't think they're going to be that much better. And so I think the passing game will struggle. Oklahoma's run defense is going to be really, really good. So this is just not a good matchup. I think you're going to need to throw the football to have success against this Oklahoma defense. I don't know that Michigan really is able to do that. And so I think, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about this pick. I think Oklahoma wins this game. I think the defense for Michigan is enough to where this game will be close, maybe even a one-score game. But I trust John Mateer to step in there. The veteran quarterback gets it done, and Oklahoma beats Michigan. Then you've got Temple next. Could be maybe a little bit of a tricky game on the road after a big win, but it's not a great group of 5 team. Maybe they sleepwalk early. This is one of those games that's kind of close at halftime. Then they'll put their foot on the gas in the second half, and I think they roll and get to 3-0. Next, you've got Auburn September 20th. Now, this is an interesting matchup. I do believe Oklahoma is the better team, and they're playing at home. So at first, I was thinking, this is a pretty easy pick. Oklahoma should win this game. But then when you start looking at the matchups, again, I think Auburn's wide receivers could be a big problem for this Oklahoma secondary. And because of that, I think Auburn has a real shot to win this game. I don't know if that's going to be enough, though. I think the front seven for Oklahoma will do enough to disrupt the quarterback here, Jackson Arnold. Of course, that's going to be a huge storyline with Auburn with him going back to Oklahoma. I think they rattle him enough in this game. So even though I think the receivers win that matchup, I think the defensive line for Oklahoma wins the matchup, and those linebackers get after Jackson Arnold. Maybe he struggles a little bit in this game, and it's enough for Oklahoma to win. But because of the matchups here, again, I think Auburn has a chance, and it's not a game that, again, at first I was like, this is an easy pick. I don't really have any questions here. But then when you really look at the matchups, could be interesting. Auburn's going to have a solid defense, so I do think this game will be close, but Oklahoma wins it at home. Then they beat Kent State after that. That's going to put them at 5-0 before the big game against Texas. Texas plays, I believe, Florida the week before this, so that could maybe play into this one. Maybe a beat-up Texas team coming off of a big win, or even potentially a loss. Who knows? But when you look at these two teams, I do believe they are much closer this year. The roster's much closer. I still think Texas has a better roster than Oklahoma, but not by much. And you've got the veteran quarterback at Oklahoma against the young Arch Manning at Texas. That's going to be a great battle there with these two quarterbacks. I think that could actually be the difference here. The veteran quarterback for Oklahoma maybe makes the difference. And the fact that, Oklahoma will be underdogs in this game, and we've seen so many times the underdogs step up. They pull off upsets, or at least make these games closer than you would expect them to be. And I just think Oklahoma wants it a little bit more. Again, Texas is the better team, but I'm going with the upset here. I think Oklahoma upsets Texas, and that puts them at 6-0 halfway through the season. Really looking like playoff contenders at this point, probably maybe even top 5 in the rankings. You've got South Carolina, though, coming up next, and that is a tough place to play, very underrated. It's going to be loud. They're going to be coming off of a big emotional win. I just think this is the perfect spot for a letdown game if you're Oklahoma. When you look at the actual matchup here, I don't really see anything that jumps out to where I would say South Carolina has a big advantage or anything. But, containing Lenora Sellers obviously is going to be a challenge. I think Oklahoma, I would not say they can't do that. I think they can do that. But to me, again, this is one of those mental picks. I think that the letdown here for Oklahoma after the huge win on the road, it's just a lot of things point towards the upset. I'm going with South Carolina to upset Oklahoma. And, you could very easily switch these around. Again, we're trying to get the record correct at the end of the day. You'd love to get every single matchup, but most places don't even predict every single game because there's so many things that could happen throughout the course of the season. But, I feel good about them splitting those two games. So if they do lose to Texas, then I think they probably beat South Carolina. But either way, I do think Oklahoma splits those two games. And that puts them at 6-1. Ole Miss coming up next on October 25th. Home game for Oklahoma. This one should be pretty good. But, I think Oklahoma is the better team. I think Ole Miss's defense is going to drop off a good bit from where they were last year. Their receivers could also cause some problems, just like Auburn. So maybe this is a similar game to that one. But I do think that at the end of the day, Oklahoma is just the better team, and they're playing at home. I got to go Sooners here. That gets them to 7-1 before playing Tennessee on the road November 1st. Tough environment there in Knoxville, obviously. A very solid defense at Tennessee. I do wonder about their offense. How good are they going to be on that side of the ball with all the losses that they had? But I think their defense is enough to make this game very interesting. And again, it's a tough place to play. I think it's one of those low-scoring defensive battles, and maybe that home field advantage is the difference. I'm going with Tennessee to pull off the upset. So I think Oklahoma drops another game on the road. Then they get the bye week before playing Alabama on the road. This is going to be a very good Alabama team, arguably the most talented team in the SEC. I think they're right there behind Texas. And then, of course, you got Georgia, and I think Oklahoma's in that conversation. But it's a revenge game for Alabama. That's going to be big here. Alabama's defense is going to be really, really good. Both defenses will be good. This should be a lower scoring game. Those linebackers for Alabama, really, really good. But I think at the end of the day, it's Alabama's offensive line. They're going to give them enough on offense to get this win. So Alabama beats Oklahoma. It's a revenge game for them. They get the win, and Oklahoma drops to 7-3, possibly knocking them out of playoff contention, but maybe not. We'll see. They get Missouri next on November 22nd. Home game, I think they bounce back. Pretty easy win here, at least by a couple of touchdowns. Oklahoma's just a better team, so they take care of business. And then LSU in the final game, November 29th. This is going to be a huge game. Pretty even matchup here. When you look at across the board, I think LSU's defense will be better this year, and that's going to give them a shot in this game. But I think in the trenches, that's where this one That's where Oklahoma has the advantage. I think on both sides of the ball, they are better on the line of scrimmage, and that is going to be the difference. Oklahoma beats LSU. They finished 9-3. Is it enough to get them in the college football playoff? I think it's possible, but I think having 3 losses in the second half of the season is going to make it tough for them. Again, depends on what happens across the rest of the country, but at least in that conversation, and I do believe Oklahoma is in that playoff conversation this year. So what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Give me your thoughts, your predictions on Oklahoma down in the comments below.